Welcome, Soccerholics community. It's Harry and Chris, and we are here to talk about David Moyes at West Ham United. West Ham have had a terrible start to the season. They sacked Bilic, and now they appointed the winner, the master, David Moyes. Of course, I say that as a joke because after leaving Everton from 11 years, he went to Manchester United, failed at Manchester United, let down the fans, let down the players with his annoying style of play. Then, after getting sacked from United, he went to Real Sociedad in La Liga, didn't really do much there, and after failing at Sociedad once again, he took his talents back to the Premier League, to Sunderland, and now look at where Sunderland are, at the bottom of the Championship, the second division in England. Chris, what do you think is going to happen to West Ham? I mean, they're already in a relegation spot. They've just appointed a manager who has a track record of failure. And, it doesn't look like any of the players are keen, any of the fans are excited. So what is it? Is it the new stadium? Is it the players? Is it the new manager? What is going to do it for West Ham, and are they going to go down this year?
It's a little bit of everything. It's tough, obviously, being a manager, and some of those clubs that you listed, like I think the biggest club out of that, for me, that I recall success was Real Sociedad. I think they finished in one of the top positions, top 8, I believe, in the past 10 years. And when you have David Moyes as a manager, he did a good time at Everton. That's what, when I think of Everton, I think of David Moyes, because Everton hasn't been able to go through, a good spell, long period to be competitive. Even
Roberto Martinez was not bad, though.
Yeah, I know it wasn't too bad, but, look, Everton's trying to display ambition to say that they're part of what we now call the top 6 or the top 7 or top 8, and they haven't been able to recover since, in my personal opinion. Yeah, they had Lukaku and such, but they haven't done much. But the topic is, of course, David Moyes and West Ham. And when I look at West Ham, they're filled with lovely attacking players. They have Andy Carroll, if you remember him, once he gets off the injury bed, or the injury bug in this case. They just signed Chicharito. Payet wasn't there too long ago. So, West Ham can attract players. They got the new stadium. It's starting to feel a bit more like home. It kind of reminds me a bit of an Italian stadium with the track and everything. So it's a bit far distant. But my burning question to you about David Moyes is, why do you hate him so much? Was it because he didn't do a good job at Manchester United?
That is really the answer. And Manchester United, after being champions under Sir Alex Ferguson in his last year, Ferguson told us as fans to stick by David Moyes, stick by your new manager, as he said. And it was very difficult at the time. The play was completely foreign to what Manchester United is used to. The fans were not excited. There was just no atmosphere in Old Trafford, and really felt like he ripped the heart out of the club. I think he lost the dressing room from the beginning. And then it was a matter of time before he got sacked. Then that whole saga at Manchester United led us to getting Van Gaal. And Van Gaal didn't do fantastic. He won us an FA Cup, but for Manchester United standards, that's not great. I have to say, though, David Moyes, after leaving Man United, going to Real Sociedad, first of all, he doesn't speak Spanish. And whatever Spanish he did speak going into Sociedad really wasn't enough to communicate to the players. And La Liga, teams can experience some run of success because there's such a skill gap between Barca, Real Madrid, and then the rest of the league, Atletico as well, and the rest of the league. He comes to Sunderland. The reason I really am worried about West Ham is twofold. The fans have really gone against this decision. It's a new appointment, and the fans are already making tons of noise about how they're really giving up on the club this year. They're preparing to be in the Championship, in the second division. Moyes did this to Sunderland. He had a really terrible season there. Whether that was the players or it was himself, who knows?
I said it's a bit of both, in my opinion.
I would think it's a bit of both too. But the fans can't get excited if they know their manager is an expert in failure. Then how can West Ham be excited about the next upcoming games? They have a real tough job. They have a really tough job on their hands. They have to get out of the relegation zone, get a few wins, get a few draws, scrape some good results, and then they have to keep their position there. I don't think Moyes is going to do it. I think, again, this club is just a bit too big for him.
For me, it's not like that.
I don't know.
West Ham's one of the bigger teams in London. I do agree. What the issue is that I think West Ham's on the same level of Everton. When Everton is its normal self, up in the top 8, it's a top half side. West Ham is usually mid-table, about top half and such. And you know what? The fans, as much as they are upset over the hiring of David Moyes, you got to put it down to the players and the tactics. And don't get me wrong, Bilic, he had a fantastic – I think he was one of the best managers to clutch points in the Premier League And that's kind of funny when you sack such a guy. And now you bring in David Moyes. And yes, I know he went to La Liga. He didn't have that great much of a success, but experience is still experience. You learn from your mistakes. And one thing that I think West Ham fans may be surprised, maybe show them a bit of optimism, is like, look, if your expectations are this low and you think, oh, we're going down to the championship, let's see you guys stay up. The Premier League's basic rule, at least the way how I've always watched the Premier League, is if you're a relegation side or a new promoted side, the goal is always to get to 35, 40 points. That means safety. And then after that, it's goal difference. If West Ham can tighten up at the back, you know what? Joe Hart has to smarten up, man. If he wants to actually be in the English #1 squad, he has to put in some key performances. He needs to get at least steal 18 points, as I like to say with goalkeepers now. If he does that, get 6 clean sheets, West Ham can build a bit of confidence and such. Get Chicharito firing. He's already got a couple goals. I think he's got maybe about between 4 and 6 goals. Get Andy Carroll going up there as well. Sort out what formation. And you know what? If there's one thing I know about David Moyes, he wants his players to run. He kind of has a unique press. I wouldn't say it's like a Geki press or something, but like he cares about team organization and such. And you mentioned about the language earlier. He's talking to mostly English players, hopefully this time. Mm-hmm. It's West Ham. And you know what? Yes, it sucks when you can't get the fans on your side, but as Arsene Wenger likes to say, the best way to get the fans back on your side is to show that you're committed on the pitch, to show that you're fighting for those challenges. Like, I'll take a recent example. For instance, Everton got a new manager. This past week, they won 3-2 against Watford. You know what? Those results, grinding out results, that's what they need to do. And if they can show that, I think David Moyes will do a good job.
I think Moyes has the potential of doing a good job, but you just look at what happened to Sunderland. Moyes was there for one season, left, they got relegated, and now there's no passion in the team. Sunderland can't even get the wins, can't even get the draws in the championship, and I feel a bit like West Ham could be going down the same path. If West Ham loses the passion, they're going to be this championship team in a big new stadium. It's going to be a bit of a joke, I think, if they don't survive this year. And I wonder what the state of West Ham will be. Moyes has a tendency, as he did last year, to really rip it all up, rip up a squad like he did at Sunderland. So, on that,
it's tough. I know we kind of want to wrap up, but I really want to get in this one last point for you guys.
Totally.
Sunderland was kind of a unique enigma, in my opinion. Like, they're based off of youth academy and the prospects that came through. Like, Pickford, he moved on. That's good investment as well. I remember Jack Rodwell as well. He was in there, a talent that's still hanging around there. I remember they were carried off of Jermaine Defoe. So my thing was, like, Moyes did have a good system. It's just that the other teams in the Premier League such a close, it's a difference. Like a player like Alexis, for instance, for Arsenal, he scored 30 goals and got 14 assists, roughly about there in all competitions. But look, Arsenal still finished out of the top 4. So if you do have a good goal scorer and such, sometimes it can't carry or propel your team. So for me, I'm hoping David Moyes has learned from that experience and tries to build more of an organized team. Because when I looked at Everton, they didn't really have like a big name striker when you call it. Like maybe like Tim Cahill, he was a midfielder though. He had Fellaini. He also had Clem Dempsey at one point as well, and Lennon. So I think there's some more pieces there because there's IU there as well at West Ham. So they have some good pieces there. And then I think I'm forgetting their best player. I think it's Lazzini. I do apologize, West Ham fans. But there are quality players there. Sell one, recoup some money. West Ham, remember, has some more money to play with than Sunderland. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't hire David Moyes, in my opinion, if they don't trust his past track record. Because, look, if we take Sunderland aside, Manchester United aside, because Man U is a bigger club than Everton, and that's his first big club that he's managing, bigger than Everton, he's got a good chance. And well,
let's see what he can do. If David Moyes can stay up, what a victory it would be for him and his career, and of course for West Ham. But the odds are that they're going to go down. It doesn't look great for them. Let's see what happens. With that, Soccerholics, leave a comment what you think about David Moyes, what you predict for the rest of West Ham's season, and we will talk to you later.